Somali Muslim woman just pulled sick stunt on Americans and is now $80k richer for it ever since a Muslim Somali migrant cop gunned down an unarmed white woman in cold blood in Minnesota last week. The liberal media have been working overtime to bury the story, as it casts their refugees in a negative light, as outraged Americans demand answers and the Muslim cop refuses to cooperate with investigators. Now the liberal media along with Care Muslims are attempting to divert everyone's attention away from the killer cop by pushing a fake hate crime story about a Somali Muslim being viciously attacked by a white supremacist. But unfortunately for these race baiters, the truth has just been inconveniently exposed, proving once again who the racists in America truly are. But the most harming part of the story is how this Somali Muslim conned Americans into giving her $80,000. After her fake hate crime story began circulating on the internet. The official story being pushed by typical liberal rags such as BuzzFeed is the horrifying hate crime of a Somali Muslim woman who was viciously attacked by a screaming white male supremacist outside her apartment complex in Columbus, Ohio. As Rama Warsame was beaten in an unprovoked attack, the white man screamed, "You will all be shipped back to Africa," before knocking out 4 of the Muslim woman's teeth. The single mother lost 4 teeth, suffered a swollen face, busted lips and swollen nose in the attack. Her 12-year-old son is reportedly traumatized. One sensationalized headline read of the attack: Muslim-Palestinian terrorist Linda Sarsour was out in full force pushing the fake hate crime story, blasting her outrage over Twitter that we must untie against hate, which is a rather ironic statement coming from the woman who killed 2 Jewish students several years ago in a terror attack, and continues to call for jihad against President Trump and his supporters, as well as the annihilation of all Jews as Muslims and liberals around the country continue to feed their propaganda-filled frenzy. That this case proves that blatant Islamophobia exists in America. There's just one small issue: the hate crime that they're alleging happened, according to police, never even occurred. According to the official statement from Columbus police who spoke to local reporters, they were called to the residence of Rama Warsame after someone called in to report that she was abusing her child by beating it with a shoe. That's when a Mexican neighbor, who is being labeled a white supremacist, stepped in to intervene, and brawl between several people began to ensue. Local news NBC4i reported, authorities tell NBC4 they are not investigating this as a hate crime. There's just not enough evidence to clearly see who instigated this fight. Police tell us this happened Saturday on Pinellas Court. Officers said they came out after getting calls that a child was allegedly being abused and possibly kidnapped. Authorities said a woman was making threats to the caller, accusing her of having her child. Officers found a woman lying face down in a doorway. A man who identified himself as her husband told officers she was assaulted with a device similar to a taser. 2 women were taken to area hospitals. Columbus police told NBC4 in a written statement, "There is no evidence at this time suggesting the incident involved in any type of evidence which would constitute the incident being investigated as a hate crime. No one was arrested following this fight. Everyone involved was referred to the prosecutor's office." Police say that is standard protocol when probable cause for an arrest cannot be established. So it appears as though the racist and white supremacist male, who was actually a Mexican, didn't attack and beat this woman after all, but had stepped in to stop the abuse of a small child, and that's when a fight between the 2 parties broke out. But despite there being absolutely no evidence of a hate crime occurring, Muslim organizations like CARE are now blasting the story all over social media, as liberal news networks continue to double down on the story with ridiculous and over-sensationalized headlines. Jennifer Neimer, executive director of CARE Columbus, stated in a press conference, "The fact that the perpetrator was not taken into custody and was not charged raises serious concerns and sends a very dangerous message. After what happened last week in Portland, police across the country should be sending a strong message that hate crimes will not be tolerated. We are asking law enforcement to investigate this as a hate crime and to bring the perpetrator to justice immediately before he commits another act of violence, as the fake hate crime continues to spread like wildfire." What's alarming is the massive amount of cash this Muslim victim has raked in after being attacked, to the startling tune of $80,000. A Launch Good campaign was created for the woman, who cannot yet return to work. It has raised over $80,000, one liberal website stated. As Muslim migrants continue to flood America at an alarming rate, Fake hate crimes are becoming a serious issue in our country as liberals and Muslim organizations like CARE are doing everything to change the narrative and turn these people into the victims. As Muslim migrants continue to commit horrifying atrocities against Americans in the name of Islam. Share this story and help spread the truth about this fake hate crime.